Next up, we're going to look at creating an NPC that we can interact with. So again, we're going to go to our RPG all-in-one window, go to NPCs, add a new one. We're going to call our NPC, and straight away generate a prefab. So we're going to again copy our player character's prefab. So we're going to just spawn that one in as well and use that to fix things. So again, we have a capsule representing our NPC, but we want our character. So we're going to duplicate that again, move it to our NPC, reset its position, and delete the capsule. Assign our character to the character model, which is there. And hit apply. We're going to go back to the window, make sure our character is set up to be a mechanism character, and right now we have all these stats because NPCs in this game can actually fight each other, but we're gonna, for the sake of this video, disable that feature. We're going to focus on it mainly being an interaction. So we're going to open our interaction window, and here is our, this is the first example of using the node editor. So this is basically how we're going to define the interaction between the player and the NPC. So the main node we can use here is the NPC response node, followed by as many player response nodes as you want. So to find out, simply just type in player response. So it's going to create a few of them, like so. So our default one is going to be just goodbye. And actually we'll move that there because these other responses might link into that. So we're going to set up some basic dialogue. Like so. So let's say the NPC says, hello, how are you? And there we go, we've got some basic dialogue set up there. So just to walk through this, so we have our NPC response, that's what the NPC says. We then have our options of how the player can reply, so 1, 2, and 3. So the first reply we can say is fine, thanks. Second reply we can do is ask for quests, and the third reply is to simply say goodbye. If we do ask for quests, the NPC then responds saying not at the moment, and then our only response in this case is to say goodbye. And if we say fine, thanks, the NPC says good to hear, and again we can just respond by saying goodbye. And that is some very basic interaction. So we've set that up correctly. Let's hit apply and delete. Let's go back to our demo scene that we've been using, and let's add in our NPC here by spawning the prefab to the scene. And then just moving it somewhere you can easily access it, like so. Finally, we want to just change that to material to easily identify it, like so. So if you hit play now, as you haven't so here's our tiny character again. So now we can right click this NPC and there are options. So if you open up our node editor's dialog, we can see in real time that we're using these options. So fine, thanks, do you have any quests, and goodbye. So not at the moment, goodbye. You can actually change this at runtime. So if we right click, so we change our fine, thanks response to okay. And if we hit that, oh, sorry. It only applies once you first start the dialogue. So now it's changed. So we can change this to any news, none at the moment. Or we can, you know, reuse that response there and delete that one to save space. Like so. But let's do some more interesting things. So what you can do is you can make a custom variable. So if you go to the RPG window, custom variables, let's add a new one and let's call it dialog option 01 and make it a simple boolean. So the default value for this we're going to set to false. So what we can do is you can make use of this custom variable. So if we add a new node and we call it, we use a get custom variable boolean and then dialog option 1, and we can do a bool comparison. So true if A equals B. So let's use this response up here and say I can only say this once. And if you right click the node circles, by the way, that's how you remove the connection. So we want to check if we've said this line before. So we're going to do a bool comparison before we give the player this option. And we're going to see if A equals B. So we're going to see if our custom variable dialog option 1 equals false. Because right now this is not ticked, so it's false. So if that's false, then we're going to let our player say this. And if it's true, and when I say if it's true, I'm talking about our custom variable, this isn't going to result in true, therefore it will be false. And we can do another player response just to confirm this and say I've already spoken to you about a matter. And then let's add an NPC response. Say yes about the frogs. And let's change the frogs are everywhere. And then another NPC response. Followed by goodbye. And there's one more thing we need to do for that actually. So if you do say this line, we need to obviously set this variable to true. So we're going to say set boolean, and we want to set our custom variable to true. And it's true because this tick box is ticked, or selected. And then we can go to our NPC response. So that way we're only going to get this line of dialogue playable once. And let's test that out. So now at the moment, goodbye. Oh, okay, so the reason we're getting that issue is, and you get some errors here, our custom variables are all saved to each player save on character creation. So typically if you run into any issues, just make a new character and that will probably resolve it. So play the intro scene, make our new character so that we get those variables initialized, and then everything should work correctly. So here we go. Hello, how are you? Frogs are everywhere. Wow, thanks for letting me know. Goodbye. And if you talk to him again, I've already spoke to you about a matter. Yes, about the frogs. And every time post that, it will give you the same option. But the first time you talk to him, it gives you the option to tell him about the frogs, and afterwards he already knows. So that's how you use custom variables inside of your NPC dialogue.